Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sportsbook Confidential. My name is John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And it's been 3 weeks since we've been here, and we missed the holiday, and then I had to have surgery, so I've been out for a couple of weeks. But glad to be back, and I'm glad you're back watching with us. And we got a good show today. We're going to talk about alternate lines, what they are, and how you can use them to help you in your wagering. More of an advanced wagering strategy. So there's some caveats with using alternate lines, but for beginning bettors, it's good to learn what they are and how to find them. And then we've got some hockey today. We got Friday night NHL. We got 2 games there. For college this weekend, all we've got is the Army-Navy game, but we're going to talk about that. And we have, of course, our Week 15 NFL. And a full slate of games as playoff positions are being fought for, and should be an interesting weekend. But before we do that, why don't we start by doing what we always do and updating my bankroll. And this is obviously games from 3 weeks ago, so they may not be fresh in your memory. I had to look up 1 or 2 of them. But our starting bankroll is $461. And we had Louisiana Tech against UAB plus 6.5, and they covered, lost by 6. That was a win, so a profit of $14 to the bankroll. And then we had the Bears minus 6. They missed 2 extra points, and they only won by 5. So that was a loss of $15 to the bankroll. And then we had the Saints over, which was no sweat at all. I think it was over 47, and they scored 65 total. Plus $15 to the bankroll. The Ravens against the Rams, over 46, and the Ravens scored 46 points all by themselves. That was a win, $15 to the bankroll. And then we had the Grey Cup game, the Tiger Cats and the Blue Bombers, and we had over 51.5, and it was at 46 in the fourth quarter, and both teams kind of gave up. It was 33-13, and they just ran out the clock, and that was a little disappointing, but the Ticats' best player got hurt, and that really hurt them in their ability to score points in that game. So that was a loss. Minus $15 to the bankroll. So if you do the math, that's a net profit of $14, and that makes our new bankroll $475. And dividing by 30, as we always do, to be a selective sports bettor, then that makes our bet size going forward this week $16. So a little bump to the bankroll. Very excited to go back in the right direction. So let's move on to today's sportsbook lesson. And today we're talking about alternate lines. And what is an alternate line? Well, most sports books will offer alternate lines on major sports. Pretty much all the big team sports: football, basketball, baseball, hockey. It says here common examples include alternate run line in Major League Baseball. For those of you that remember baseball or have seen my shows where I talk about baseball, you can bet the money line, which is which team is just going to win the game, or the run line, where one team is favored by minus 1.5 runs. So the other team is a dog by plus 1.5 runs. And then you can buy the alternate run. They favor the other team by 1.5, and they reverse those lines. Obviously, the odds are different. And then for those of you that do follow NHL, you know there's a puck line, and one team is favored minus 1.5, and you can get the alternate puck line, so the other team is favored minus 1.5. So if you think the underdog is actually going to win or win by more than 1 goal, you can bet that alternate line. So sometimes you have to look for those in the menus, and but they're there. And since football is the most popular sport, books offer a variety of alternate lines on the spread and the total. And I'm going to show an example right now. So what I'm going to do is I've got the DraftKings Sportsbook up on the NFL page. And as you can see here, you've got all the games. The Patriots and the Bengals is this very first game. And Bears and the Packers and whatnot. So if I click on the Patriots and the Bengals, and I click on game lines. If I click on game lines, then I can scroll down here, and you can see all the different spreads that are offered, alternate spreads that are being offered. You can get The Patriots all the way up to minus 23.5, or the Bengals plus 23.5. Then you go all the way down, and you can see the Bengals favored by 3.5. Oh, I got to scroll down for you so you can see. You can see how at the bottom you have the Bengals minus 3.5 and the Patriots plus 3.5. So you can see that they offer total different spreads, ranging from 2 to 3 touchdowns difference. And that's just not on the point spread, it's also on the over-under. And you can see all the different lines that DraftKings is offering on this one game. You have over-unders ranging from 30.5 all the way up to 52.5. So that leaves you with a lot of variety, a smorgasbord of lines to choose from. Not always a good thing, and I'll explain why in a minute. But let's move on to the next part of our lesson, and it's using alternate lines. And so the example I have is this week's Denver-Kansas City game. And right now the total for that game on the main betting line is Kansas City over under 45.5 at minus 107. So if I have a projection, if I build a model to predict the outcome of the game, and my model's projection is the over-under is going to be about 52.5 is the expected number of points scored. Well, I can look at the alternate lines. I could bet any number between 45 and 52.5. I can even bet over 52.5. So I look at the alternate lines. I see over 52.5 is plus 205, and that's a real juicy number. And that's kind of what my model is predicting is going to happen. So it's much better than a coin flip at plus 205, So obviously, the smart bet for your bankroll is to bet the over 45 and give yourself that 7-point cushion. But I can also make two bets and fraction out my unit. That if I'm going to wager 1 unit on this game, I can put 0.9 units on the over 45.5, and I could put 0.1 units on the over 52.5, give myself a supplemental wager, and give me a nice extra payout if that comes in, or some fraction that you feel comfortable spending. I wouldn't recommend spending 2 units on the game. I would recommend spending 1 unit on the game. If you want to risk, going over 52.5, you can bet that instead of the 45.5. But you could split it up. I think there's nothing wrong with doing that, splitting it up and making a supplemental wager on the game. But it's a way to make the alternate lines work for you. And, this is just one example. There are more advanced examples of using alternate lines to make sets of wagers, which I'll get into at some later point. I feel that's too advanced a topic to discuss today. But I do want to talk a little bit about a caveat of using alternate lines. And I have a warning for you, is that virtually all sports books have increased vig or juice or rake or whatever you want to call it on alternate lines, which means they're taking a bigger cut of both sides of that line than they are on the main line. So the smart bet is to, if you have a big cushion, your projection gives you, say, an extra 7 points on the total, you're better off taking that, at minus 110 or 105 or whatever it is, and putting your full unit on that. When you get to advanced betting and your bankroll starts to grow and you can bet, you get near the limits of what you can bet on a game, then you can add in these other supplemental wagers as a way to get down on the game. And that, that's an advanced strategy. But as I said before, it's usually not an optimal choice to bet them as a standalone wager because you're paying advanced vig. If you feel really strongly about a game going over, if you think it's going to go over 50 and the line's 45, well, you can, bet 48.5 or 49 or whatever and still get a very nice number. But you're paying more rake. You're better off using the main line and paying less vig on that. And but it's a way for you to find value if you're at the sports book and there's a limited number of games that evening and you're looking at you're trying to find value in a wager. You can look at alternate lines and maybe find a hockey underdog or a basketball underdog or at a good, or a total at a really, really attractive price that you think may work for you. So that's today's sportsbook lesson, and I hope you found that helpful. And we'll have another lesson next time, hopefully next week, hoping everything goes well. So let's move on to the weekend games, and we're going to start with the NHL on Friday night. There's only 2 games, and we'll talk about these briefly. We have the Golden Knights at the Stars. Golden Knights plus 142 on the money line. Stars minus 161. 5.5 is the total here. The Stars are going to play Malcolm Subban tonight. He's the backup goalie. I'm sorry, the Golden Knights are going to play Malcolm Subban. He's the backup goalie. The Stars, of course, have Ben Bishop, who's an excellent goalie. The Stars, a little bit of turmoil. They fired their coach in the middle of the week for unprofessional conduct. It's still really not sure what that was all about. But the Stars play a very defensive style of hockey, and the Knights play more of a wide-open game. And I feel like this is leaning to me to be over goals here because I feel like that's a really good number on taking the Knights to win. But I don't like their backup goaltender that much. So I lean towards the over here. It's a very good odds on the over 5.5. I think it's like plus 115 or 116. And then we have the New Jersey Devils at the Colorado Avalanche. The Devils are getting plus 205 on the money line. Avalanche minus 233. The Devils are supposed to start Mackenzie Blackwood, who unfortunately is their best goaltender. He has been spotty this year and has given up a lot of games, a lot of goals. The Avalanche have a very good scoring team, and they have very good goaltending. I do like the Avalanche to win this game. I don't feel like there's much value of betting them either on the puck line or on the money line. And I'm not sure about the total. This could be a 5-1 game, It all depends on what the Devils can manage. And they haven't seemed to be able to put it together offensively. And that seems to be the problem for them is scoring goals. So I think that game is a pass for me. So that's how I feel about Friday night NHL. It's a nice, quiet schedule for us. So we can move on to the weekend games, and let's start with college football Saturday, and there's only one game on the schedule, and that's the Army-Navy game. It's always the last game of the college football regular season, and it's usually played at a neutral site, and usually Baltimore or Philly, one of those stadiums in those cities. So the sports books have Navy, who are 9-2, and Army's 5-7. Navy minus 10.5 and 40.5 is the total, which seems very low to me. My model has it as minus 13.82, 49.49 is the total. So you can see it's 9 points difference between what my model predicts it will be and what the total is at the book. And there is a tremendous trend on unders in the Army-Navy game, and there's reasons for that. Number one is Army likes to play at a more deliberate pace, and against this high-powered Navy offense, they will be running the ball a lot and trying to eat as much clock up as possible to keep it within a score. And that could affect the total. I really feel like this year it's going to go over. That total is just too low. People just bang the under on the Army-Navy game because it happens so often in the last 10 years. But I feel like it's going to go over. But that may not be my play on this game. But I do have a play on this game, and we'll talk about it at the end of the program. Obviously, there's 3 points to the Navy side. So taking Navy minus 10.5 doesn't seem like much of a stretch for me. So we'll see which I end up with at the end of this program. So that's it for college football. Let's move right on to NFL Week 15. We got a full slate. We had that Ravens game last night. Ravens won by 21 against the Jets, and Lamar Jackson looked awful good. So let's see what we got here. We got the Seahawks at the Panthers. Line is plus 6.5, 48.5. My model has plus 8.7, 49.13, so that would lean towards taking the Seahawks. Not much on the total there. Bucks at the Lions. Lions +4, 45.5. I have it at +5, 51.43. I like that over. Jameis Winston turns the ball over, and that's going to give the Lions points. And it's one of those things, if I've said it before on this program, if the Bucks defense didn't have to defend all that bad field position all year long, their stats would be much better. The Bears at the Packers, this is a big game. Packers -4.5, 40 is the total. I have it at -5 and 39.87, so there's really almost nothing there to wager on. I kind of feel like the Bears are going to make this a close game, but I'd have to get 7 to take the Bears. Broncos at Chiefs, -10 and 45 is the total. I have it at -10.36 and 47.34. I really like the over in this game. You're getting 2.5 points, according to the model. You're getting a 2.5 point cushion over what the line is. The Broncos with Drew Lock have been really solid the last 2 weeks, and they're not facing a better defense than they faced last week with the Texans. They're facing the Chiefs. Now, there could be weather issues. I didn't see any the last time I checked, but I think 45 is an easy total to hit here. So I really like that game. That's on my short list for sure. Dolphins at the Giants, -3.5, 46.5, -2.99, 46.25. That's basically right on, and that's a tank bowl. The Giants, the Dolphins, and the Bengals, I think, are the 3 teams that are vying for that top pick. And only the Dolphins really need the quarterback. So I don't know who you consider the top pick right now, but in the college draft. But this game, there's absolutely nothing involved in it for me. Texans at Titans, -3.5, 51. I have it at -3.71, 47.23. So I've bet the Titans under twice in the last 4 weeks, and I've gotten decimated. They've been just putting up points. I think they put up 40 points in their last game. Tannehill has been a revelation at quarterback. He has not had that. He's always had that bad game where he slips back and has a 3 or 4 interception game, and it hasn't happened this year. And it's probably because they have such a stout running game. But I cannot, in good conscience, even though my model likes the under here, bet the under in this game. Obviously, Deshaun Watson can score points. That team can score points when they need to. I feel like this game is going to be under, but I'm not going to put any money on it. I can't. The Titans have been playing too well. I'm not saying that the spread is right on what my model says. So I feel like it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be pass for me. Eagles at the Potato Skins, +5, 39. Plus, I have it at +2.36, 39.77. So that's a lean towards Washington. And it's tough to take the Skins, especially since their running back Geis got hurt last week, and I think he's out for the year. So it's the Adrian Peterson show this week. But the Eagles have not impressed. So the model really likes taking the Skins plus the points here. Not sure if that's going to end up on my list or not, but the Eagles have not blown anybody out in a long time. And then we've got the Patriots at the Bengals, Spygate 2. For those of you that haven't followed that, the Patriots filmed the promotional video at the Browns-Bengals game last week, and they got caught taping the Bengals sideline, and it's being investigated by the league. Bengals are 10-point dogs, 41.5. I have them as 11-point dogs, 42.4, so that leans over. Andy Dalton's a pretty good quarterback. The Patriots have had trouble scoring points the last couple weeks, so I think I'd pretty much stay away from that game. Let's see what else we got. We got the Vikings at the Chargers. This game interests me quite a bit. Chargers 2.5 dogs, 45.5. I have them as 2.17 dogs and 44.38. The Vikings are minus 2.5 at like plus 110, which is crazy. I feel like that's a really super value bet for that, especially since they're like minus 120 something on the money line. Getting the Vikings, less than 3 points, even though they're a road team. Chargers have nothing to play for. So it feels like a no-brainer to bet the Vikings here, but also kind of feels like a trap game. I'm not sure. I have mixed feelings about it. Browns at the Cardinals, +3, 49. I have it at plus 2.10, 48.06. That's pretty close. The Browns will probably play well enough to win. I don't know. If 49 is a pretty high total. I mean, mine leans under. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting over on that at all. I would probably go under, but you never know. I mean, both of those teams can score points. They turn the ball over, though, so that's where the problem lies. Do they turn it over to create points or turn it over to stifle points? Jacksonville at the Raiders, -6.5, 45. I have it at -5.32, 42.78. This is another game where it leans under, and then the Raiders, I've bet on them a couple of times, and they have just given up too many points. So I feel like this game is a good under bet, but I just don't have enough confidence. Obviously, Jacksonville has nothing left to play for here. The Raiders have an outside shot at the playoffs. You want to take, the model says take the points with Jacksonville, but I think I would just stay away from this game, but the strong play is the under there. Rams at the Cowboys. This is a big game with big implications. Cowboys getting 1.5 points, 49. I actually have the Cowboys as 0.65 point favorites, 48.75. This is one of those return to expectation games. I think the Rams have been playing outstanding, and the Cowboys have not. And these two teams are very equal on paper, and I feel like this game is the Cowboys for the taking if they don't miss the field goals and whatnot. So I like the Cowboys plus the points here. Don't have a play on the total. Falcons at 49ers, -10.5, 48.5. I have it at -12.52, 48.8. So the total's right on. It leans towards taking the 49ers. They've been very good. Obviously, what they did last week was outstanding in New Orleans. They have Kittle back. And I believe the Falcons' Devonta Freeman is out now. They obviously have nothing left to play for. It is a divisional. No, it's not a divisional game. I'm sorry, they're not in the same division anymore. But I wouldn't feel uncomfortable laying 10.5 here. Not going to be on my list of plays, but the 49ers, this is a must-win game for them. It's a difference between being a 2 seed and having a bye and being a 5 seed and having to go on the road for an extra playoff game. And then Sunday night, the Bills at the Steelers. What an important game that is in the AFC. Steelers 1.5 favorites, 36.5. I have them at -1.2 and 35.33. The model likes, it basically says it's right on, so it likes the Steelers as a very mild favorite. But I kind of like the Bills in this game. They play well on the road. They've played well in primetime games. And they know the importance of this game. They know that they can catch up to the Patriots and play them next week with a win here, and then next Saturday they go head to head. So there's an outside chance at a division title for the Bills. I feel like this will be the toughest defense that the Steelers are going to face, and then they have in the last several weeks. So I'm looking forward to this game. It's probably the one I have circled on my calendar. I'm not sure I have a strong wager on it, but it's a very important game in the season for both teams, and it should be a good game. Then Monday night, we have the Colts and the Saints. We have I believe it's 9 points, Saints favorite, and it's either 8 or 9 points, and 46.5 is the total. I have them as 8.71 and 52.86. So obviously the over here is in play. I feel like the over here is a strong play. Obviously the Saints, they showed last week they can be exploited to give up points, and they score points. And the Colts can score points. Sometimes they like to play ball control a little bit more with the running game. So we'll see how that goes. But if they get behind, they're going to have to play more up-tempo, and that will mean more points one way or the other. So that's it for NFL Week 15. That was a big schedule there, and a lot of interesting games. I hope you have time to watch a few. So let's wrap things up and move on to my picks for this week, and I'm going to start with Friday night NHL and take the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars over 5.5 plus 116. I feel like this is going to be a 4-2 game, and I don't know which side is going to get the 4, but I feel like the over here is in play. So that's my pick there. And on Saturday, I'm taking Navy minus the 10.5. I feel like they're going to win by 14, and that's what the model says, minus 105. I feel really strongly about the over, too, but I'm not going to play it. 9 points is a lot for my model, but you never know. You never know. Broncos and Chiefs over 45, minus 111. I feel like that game's going to go over easy. Broncos have really impressed the last couple of weeks. Their offense has been very balanced under Drew Lock. Then I'm going to take the Potato Skins, the Washington Redskins, plus 5.5, minus 106 against the Eagles. That's a model play. It's like one of my strongest model plays. You don't know if they're going to show up or not, but they seem to be improving, especially since the pressure's off for them to win this year. And then Monday night, the Colts and the Saints over 46.5, minus 107. Again, that's a game that I feel like should go over. You've got perfect weather conditions in the Dome, and these two teams play in a dome, and they know how to score points. So looking forward to watching that on Monday. So that's going to do it for us. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry I missed a couple of weeks. Hopefully I won't have to go back under the knife anytime soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll play the outro music for you, and I'll see you next time. So thanks, everybody. Take care.